Hi guys, Mama Mita here, and so now I want to show you how to make a very simple breakfast. So, when you get up in the morning and you just like, what am I going to eat today? I love scones. Oh my goodness, do I love scones. And now is the right time to be able to go out and pick blackberries. So today we're going to be making blackberry scones. Well, those should be really tasty, huh? I love anything with like sugar. I'm a carb girl. Oh, goodness. Let me tell you, it's no end. I can't pass up a scone or cake. It's a nightmare for me. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to get out your bowl and you have 2 cups of flour, all-purpose flour. And then you're going to have a half a cup of sugar. Okay, and then you will need a 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 1.5 teaspoon of cinnamon. And drop that in there, mix that around. Okay, and then the next thing you would need to do, you should have it, where your butter's really cold. In this case, it's just really hot. It's the end part of summer and it's hot. So we'll just do the best we can. Anyway, so now you're going to take this and you're going to just, see, it just doesn't want to do that because it's not cold enough. Uh-oh. Oh well, we'll just make it do, that's fine. So if this was frozen, then it would just grate off really nicely. And I am using salted butter. Unfortunately, I forgot to get unsalted. It's still going to be eatable in our house. And what it'll do, it'll shred up like, almost like shredded, very finely shredded cheese. And then you'll take the fork, 2 forks is better, and you just mix it into the flour mixture. Sorry, I should have probably done this a little sooner so that I don't waste the camera time. Might have to roll that one up. And that's all you would do. We just do that, grate that in there. Now, if you don't want to use the fork to mix that butter in there, then you could use your hand. You don't want to overwork though. You could also use a food processor too, but you don't want to overwork the dough. Because that's what happens. A lot of times people use a food processor and then they overwork it. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Oh, or you throw flour all over the place. So I went out this morning and picked a few of blackberries across the road here. Lots of blackberries where I live. Lots of black. Well, Washington State has some of the biggest blackberries that I've ever seen in my life. They're just huge. Maybe because of all the rain. Okay, so now in this, pretty much you've gotten it worked in there. Now in the next little thing here, I have a half a cup of heavy cream and 1 egg, and I have a 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Imitation stuff, Now, let's mix that egg in there. So a half a cup of the heavy cream, 1 egg, and then the 1.5 teaspoons of the imitation vanilla. And then I'm going to pour that in there. So now once I got that in there, and I go to fold it out, when you go to add the blackberries, I've already cleaned them, and they're ready to go. So when you go to add the blackberries, you want to just fold them in very carefully because you don't want to have them overworked and then you got a big black mess. You could also do blueberries too. But you want to make sure that the blueberries are frozen when you do this. The blueberries frozen work better if they're frozen. Otherwise, you have to be very careful because they will do the same thing. They just make a big glob mess. I left my pastry board at my daughter's house because I do a lot of stuff over there. Okay, so now you would use a well, it says, you could use like a cup, but in this case, I'm just going to fold them in. Be very careful folding them in because they just make a mess. And then once I I put them out in a little circle, and then I cut them to fit, you know, to get ready to bake them. I'm going to stick them in the refrigerator so they get really cold before I put them in the little baby oven. And that'll give me time to clean up too a little bit here. Oh, that'll be a mess. Blackberries on the floor. Okay. So that is enough blackberries for that. Otherwise, it's just going to be a blob. Then I'll add a little bit more flour to that. So if you feel like your scones are a little bit way too dry, then you could add a little bit more of the heavy cream. Don't overdo it though, okay? Scones can kind of be a little mess, you know, sometimes, but that's okay. And then I got paper that I put down in the pan. And I found that I like to use the stainless steel pans, and I get some of the nicest stainless steel pans at the co-op. They're a little bit like not as cheap as something like you're going to find at Walmart. But I mean, I have bought so many pans for the baby oven. It's just ridiculous. And they always seem like they rust or they peel. The Teflon stuff peels, and I hate that. It just makes me so frustrated because now that money's gone, okay? Scones are kind of forgiving though, you know. They're easy to patch up if you make them look kind of dumb. Where it's like, oh geez, those don't look too great. You can always patch it up. Okay, so now we're going to put them over here in the pan. Let's hope I can pick it up without it being a mess everywhere. Ooh. Okay, there's one. Okay. And that should be enough to go on that one little pan there. So that's one. Then the other one. Now that's the pan that I bought from the co-op, and I really like it a lot because I don't have to worry about the darn thing rusting. And these things can be pretty pricey, you know, at the store. Even if you buy them like at Winco, the little tiny ones, I don't like them. They're too wet for me, the ones at Winco. Those, they're not cheap either, but they're cheaper than the other one. But like if you went to a more specialty store, so, oh, geez, or even Starbucks, you're looking at some money there. Okay, we're going to put one more in there. So I only use 2 pans. And then this one over here. Now, I'm not the pastry queen. I do have to admit that. Mine's more food. Not cakes and pastries. But, hey, they taste good to me, and I'm eating them. Okay. So, there we have it. So, they'll go in the cooler and get cold, and then I'll pull them out and put them so that they form better. And then I'll put them into the little baby oven. Okay, so, and then I've got a few blackberries left over. And I'll probably just put them in one of those little portion bags from the dollar store, you know, the ones that I keep, that I reuse, those little things like that. I'll just probably put the rest of those in there and stick it in my freezer for another occasion. A soon occasion, because you know how it is. Oh, okay. Well, those scones are done. I can't wait to enjoy one of these with my cowboy movie tonight, you know. I don't think they'll last till tomorrow. Well, I only get one, you know. The rest of them are leaving. Yeah, it's safer for them to leave. Otherwise, yeah, I know what would happen. I'd be wearing them by tomorrow. Okay, so the scones. Here's how they came out. Look at that. Pretty nice, huh? So what I did on the icing is I just took heavy whipping cream and I powdered sugar with a little bit of vanilla, the imitation stuff, you know, the fake stuff, and a little bit of heavy whipping cream. Not much, you know, just enough to make the sugar like, you know, kind of creamy, like. And then I took a fork and I mixed it up really good, and then I just took and drizzled on top of the scones. Now, you don't have to do that if you don't want that. They taste really good. They really do. And, you know, the blackberries were right across the road there, and so it's like I got a ton of blackberries I could go pick. You know, there's still more. They're waiting. But anyway, I just thought I would do that today. So, you guys, if you enjoyed this video today, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Now, remember, it actually is better if you take your butter before you do this and you put it in the freezer so it's really icy cold, okay? And then you would grate it, and it just makes it easier to work. You could also use the food processor, but you want to make sure that you do not overwork it, okay? Don't overwork, and don't throw the blackberries in all together, because that doesn't work like that. You fold the blackberries in is what you do on that, okay? And that would be at 400, okay, on the scones for about, well, in the Barbie oven, it always takes longer because, you know, it's not like a regular oven at home and stuff. So sometimes I have to do, like, instead of 20 minutes, well, and this would be like 18 minutes at the regular oven. But sometimes I have to go as much as double. That's okay. I don't mind. I mean, I'm just cleaning up and maybe eating or picking up something or doing something, you know, whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. Okay. So there you have it, you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you later now. Bye now. Now, before you go off, I know you're in a hurry to make these scones. Before you go off, let me just remind you that it is actually better that you take, after you mix the scones and you put them together and stuff, because it's going to make 8. That 2 cups of flour and stuff is going to make 8 scones. Pretty good size scones, too. They're not those little small scony things. They're pretty good size. You want to make sure that once you form them and you put them on the parchment paper, that you take them and stick them in the freezer so they get really cold. Because when they get really cold, it's like they're not going to spread out. Like if they're not cold, they're more apt to spread out in the oven. And you don't really want them spread out. You want them more staying like in the triangle. Or at the co-op, they don't even have the triangle ones. They have the round ones. So I just wanted to pass that by to you. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye now.